Welcome to Hoffmann-Photography. My name is Rainer, I'm a photographer and photo instructor. In this video we'll have a look at adjustment layers and why they are a good idea. When you use traditional editing software like Photoshop, Affinity Photo, GIMP or others, then any changes you make to the tonal values of the pixels of the image are usually saved within the file itself. This means that the original tonal values are overwritten and in principle cannot be restored to their original values at a later time. This is called destructive editing, and it's a reason why many people only edit a copy or multiple copies of a file and keep the original unedited file in a safe place. However, there's a more elegant way than creating multiple copies of a file. Enter adjustment layers. But first, let's have a look at the traditional way of editing. As an example, I'll use the curve tool because it nicely illustrates the problem with destructive editing. If you're not familiar with the curve tool, I've made a video that explains it in detail. Link is in the description. The curve tool always starts as a straight line from bottom left to top right. When I drag a point of the curve in the left half downward and a point in the right half upward, I get this S-curve. This is way overdone, but it shows nicely what's going on. The shadows are now darker, the highlights are brighter, and the overall contrast is increased. When I click on Merge, the tonal values of the pixels are changed accordingly, and if I would save and close the image, I couldn't undo the changes afterward. I won't save this image now. Instead, I just use the curve tool again. But the S-curve is gone and we have a straight line again. And that's the problem. Of course, I could try to apply an inverted S-curve, like so. In order to undo the earlier S-curve. But that never really works. Most of the time it just looks weird. So let's undo this and use an adjustment layer instead. This is more or less the same S-curve as before, but now I just close the tool. And here is a new adjustment layer. It's a virtual layer on top of the background layer that simply contains the information of the curve tool. And I can switch the visibility off and on. The original image, the background layer, remains unaffected. By double-clicking on the adjustment layer icon, the Layers tool opens again, and there is my original S-curve, which I now can adjust as necessary and at any time. Oops. Now that's better. But it gets even better. Of course, I can stack more adjustment layers on top of the curves adjustment layer. Let's say the color balance. Or any other tool in the adjustment panel. All adjustment layers can be switched off or on individually by unchecking or checking the tick box of the layer. You can even use adjustment layers to save different versions of the image, let's say a color version and a black and white version in the same file. No need to save 2 or more different files on the hard drive. When you save the image, the adjustment layers are saved with the image and you can access and adjust them later. However, make sure to choose a file format that supports layers like the PSD format. You can't use JPEG, for example, because JPEG files don't support layers. If you are a Lightroom user, you'll probably just roll your eyes and say that Lightroom works non-destructive anyway, and that snapshots and virtual copies are even more elegant to store different versions of an image than adjustment layers. And you would be perfectly right. But for people who use conventional pixel-based software only, adjustment layers are a real game changer, and I recommend using them. That's it for today, and thanks for watching.